Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. I'm Leonard Elijah Shemtob with,
I am Amir Araghi.
and we're here on Conscious Cup, here to give you your daily fill of consciousness. Join just as many of us drink coffee to get through our day. A cup of consciousness is about filling your soul with a guiding light of energy to navigate you through your week. So we ask you, what are you filling your
Cup.
That's right. What are you filling your spiritual cup with? And on today's show, we're going to talk about a few different things. Remember, for those who are new, we have a few sections. We have the grind, which will be about spiritual events. We have filling your cup. That'll be this week's spiritual conversation, quotes and topics. What's brewing, our current affairs. And spill the beans, where we talk about a spiritual exercise that we put ourselves to, and how it went, and also how it went for you. We want to know how it went for you as well. We do a little exercise so we can improve. I got a good story for this one from last week. Anyway, welcome. How you been, Amir?
Good. Excited for episode 2. For those of you who are visually watching this, it's exciting. We have a very new background for you. Ta-da!
We're in Bali.
In a forest.
Yes, we're in a forest in the Hollywood Hills. It's just a set.
Yes,
it's just a set.
Yeah, but it is.
Don't be fooled.
It's exciting.
It's like the moon landing.
Yeah. The one thing we're still missing is our stand. So by episode 3, we'll have a stand for this mic as well. But
yes, don't think I felt like Amir shouldn't have a stand.
Yes.
Don't feel like I get a stand and he doesn't. He was to order it, and the delivery man basically took the stand, I think. Is that what happened?
Yeah, Jeff Bezos does not like this podcast, so
he doesn't endorse
he personally has delayed
endorser.
the arrival. But no, it's exciting stuff. It's nice to be back, and we hope you guys had a beautiful week. And yeah,
was this summer solstice? Did we just have summer solstice?
We had spring equinox a few weeks ago,
okay.
On the Persian New Year, Nowruz.
That's right.
Nice.
So all right, well, let's start off with the grind. The grind is a spiritual events for the week. I found a really neat event, actually.
Yeah?
I found a neat event. I don't know if you want to go. I would be open to going with you, Amir, and open with going with any of you guys if you see fit. I'll tell you guys a little bit about it. It's called Etherica, Etherica, a galactic sound journey. It's an outdoor sound healing journey and spiritual awakening in Pan Pacific Park on Beverly Boulevard.
Oh.
And it's and that's like over by the Grove.
Yeah, Pan Pacific, right in the middle of the city.
Right by the Grove, and they do this weekly on Sunday nights. There's 3 nights, April 16th, 23rd, and 30th. The 16th is called A Spiritual Awakening, and each week there's a different theme and energy healing to align with your energy of abundance, unconditional love, inner peace, true purpose. And they invite us to participate in invite us to a live outdoor sound healing experience to relax, rejuvenate, and raise our vibration. It's an outdoor setting under the stars. We get a journey of breath work, guided meditation, live mantra, sacred instruments. It's led by Ava Milva along with her team of healers. It's like a sound bath on steroids, it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
And
kind of similar to the event we went to last year together. Remember, I forgot the name of it, the one in downtown that we went to. That had a sound bath too. That was like audio visual kind of a experience.
Oh, Wisdom, yes.
Wisdom, yes.
I love Wisdom.
Yeah.
That's great. We should definitely do that. So they do light body warm-up, breath work to let go of old emotions, guided meditation, sound healing with mantras. Bring a yoga mat, a warm blanket, dress warm. It's Sundays at 7. They say bring your crystals to charge them with positive energy if you want. And it's $35 if you want to be in the front, and $30 in the middle, and $25 in the back. So between $25 and $35. They talk about Ava Milva, who's putting this on. She's a Bulgarian woman who lives in LA. She's from a renowned lineage of healers, it says here. She's used her natural healing gifts to help all others of her life and worked in music as a singer-composer at a very young age. She holds a BA from Eckerd College, and she's certified Kundalini yoga instructor, sound healer with years of experience. blah 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 blah. It goes on and on. She's experiencing Reiki, clear light healing, theta healing, guided light healing. She's trained intuitive guide, and if it's great, it's great. If it's not, we just go meditate in the park and under the stars for 30
Yeah,
bucks.
you're in good vibration. It's here. Look, I mean, it's going to be a theme, right? Because I'm the optimistic, positive person. But these events didn't exist 5 and 10 years ago, especially in the middle of Los Angeles, right? Like literally in the middle of
by
Los
shopping,
Angeles.
by consumerism city.
So I love it. Yeah, this sounds great. Let's definitely do it.
All right, so that's going to be April 15th. Is the 16th is the
Saturday,
first,
right? Sounds like
Sunday.
Sundays.
Sunday night is the first. April 16th, 23rd, 30th. So let's pick.
maybe next Sunday.
Yeah, I'm open. If you guys are open, let us know. We're hopefully going to get this thing sent out pretty fast, so you'll have time and we won't miss the boat. But if we miss the boat, there's 3 Sundays. So.
Yeah, 23rd is roughly.
That's positive change.
Yes,
that's the positive change one. All right, so that's the grind.
Good. I love it.
All right, and then now we're going to head to.
I do have quickly on the grind
I'm sorry,
too.
I didn't.
No.
I get. I'm just moving along way too quick here.
I do have, as you saw, I am doing kind of a Friday night discussion group, which actually might get changed to Sunday nights.
Okay. Sunday nights I can go.
Sunday nights, I feel like it might
Sunday
be a better resonance. Idea.
It's like a family. Sunday nights is always like the family.
Family
night. Where it's like we all get together and like that's a really great idea and it works for me. Yeah. I'm gonna be selfish here, but I really want to participate.
I think that this is.
Well, before we go any further, tell them a little bit about it. Regardless. Of the date.
I'm gonna. So, this is actually an idea that I employed almost 15 years ago with a really small group of people. We used to get together on Friday nights, and it was a potluck, and we literally would come at like 6:30. Everyone would come from work, and we were about 8 or 10 people. We'd literally put the food on the table, and we were there usually till almost like midnight. And the format was really, really great. That kind of dissipated after a little bit, and it was a really small group. It was like at the time, I didn't just share it openly. It was like a smaller invite-only group, and it was a set group.
So this time it's not invite only. So
this time
none of you
open.
are special. We're not special anymore. It's not invite only.
Yeah,
anyone can come.
Shifted in that way, but
you got to make us sound like we're invited still.
Yeah, you're absolutely invited. If you're hearing this, you're invited. So it goes out to all those
that's
people.
Nice. I feel special again.
Yeah,
that's Chakra 3. I'm working from on that
one. Really, the idea behind this is that as we move forward together. One of the most important things that we want to focus on in some ways is harmony. And the harmony of idea, the harmony of language, the harmony of understanding and awareness is critically important. It's not to make everything the same. That's not what it is, but it is to be harmonious, right? The whole idea of a symphony is you don't want everybody to play the drums or everybody to play saxophone, but you need everybody to be playing their instrument harmoniously.
Well, look
together.
At nature. Nature is harmonious, right?
Yes.
But there's bees and there's
our forest reminds us.
There's bees in the flower. They're not the same.
No.
But they're working in harmony together.
Exactly. And so this platform is really, really nice. We've had offline conversations about this a lot, but I'm a big believer in
offline conversations.
Yeah, but non-podcast conversations that we. It's important for the social aspect, right?
100%,
so breaking
100%.
bread with other people, having that
camaraderie,
that proximity to other people is really, really important. But long story short,
building community.
So right now it's Fridays. It's starting May 5th.
Oh, hopefully we're going to move it to Sunday. I think we should.
So I'm
leave the comment Sunday. Put just Sunday.
Yeah. He's not biased at all. No,
I don't have any personal. Yeah. I don't have a skin in the game on this one.
But I do think it's probably going to be Sunday. So if the first one is Friday, it'll be May 5th. If not, it'll be May 7th on Sundays. If we move it to Sundays, it's probably going to start a little bit earlier in the day, just because the next day is Monday, 5:30, something like that. And then we can go till like 10 o'clock. But that, this is something that's really, really important.
I'm loving the idea.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
Because we really get to delve deeply into a conversation.
Yeah, so what's the format when we meet on Sunday nights?
Literally, it's going to be...
Like how I did that Sunday night?
Yeah. I'm gonna bring a topic,
Okay.
right? And sometimes it's gonna be extremely specific. Sometimes it's gonna be very open ended. Sometimes it's gonna be to bring a lot of clarity to a certain point, and we literally sit and conversate.
So like a round table, like everyone's going to be eating and talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have an 8-person table, just so, and we can fit 10. I
Well,
fit 10 on it.
Yes,
as well.
yes. I'm sure we will. And that's the beauty of it, is that the focus of it is that all the participants are going to start to, because it's only once a month.
It's only
Each
once a
participant, each
month.
participant is going to be able to host at some point.
Yeah.
And so the burden is really shared, but it also gives everybody an opportunity to kind of
Put their special touch on the evening.
yeah.
Like
And
at my house, we'll have exotic dancers, poker tables. That's my house. But when we go to Amir's house,
Yeah.
we're gonna have backgammon, sitar playing, and dombak.
I love it. No, but it is, one of the feedbacks I get
you
from
guys can
this-
leave comments about my jokes. If they're not good, I'll stop.
One of the feedbacks actually, with the seminar or the workshop that we did, is oftentimes when people actually host these, they want to host again because, and this is not coming from an egotistical place, but there really is a vibrational energy that's created. And so people want that in their homes. They
it's
feel
beautiful.
it. It
I loved it.
resonates.
I mean,
yeah.
It was great. I'm really excited for the next one we're going to do. We're going to have to chat about that offline.
Yes, on one of the offline. We'll create an offline podcast, by the way.
Just for us. You're not invited.
yeah.
Sorry.
We'll just listen to each other talk.
So, all right. So hopefully May the 7th Sunday, if not May 5th Friday, there's going to be a dinner and conversation. Amir will be hosting. You guys have received the updates in the group messaging, and you'll update again if it changes or whatever's required, or as you usually do.
Yeah, in the next week, if there's a change, it'll definitely come through. But yeah, that's
All
an
right.
open invite.
We're
and,
hoping for
and
Sunday.
Yes,
Okay. Are we good on the grind?
we are good.
Okay, the beans are grinded. Now we're going to fill our cup a little with this week's spiritual conversation, quote, and topic. And today, it's my day to bring to the table the filling your cup, and it's going to be about desire and fear, and not operating from that standpoint.
Very, very interesting.
Now think about, you want to riff a little? Because I think you're ready to say something good.
Look, desire and fear are probably something that we think are on opposite ends of the spectrum when it's just put out there. And by the way, this just so everybody knows who's listening to this, we don't discuss these things. And I think that's part of the idea of the podcast, is when Leonard's bringing up an idea, it's fresh. And I haven't thought about it. And when I'm bringing up an idea, it's fresh for Leonard. And so it
it's
really
not like a
allows
candid.
us.
It's a
Yeah.
real response. What we feel in the moment. In Zen,
Yes.
they say first thought, right thought.
Yes. And so initial thought on this, I think externally looking at it, desire and fear, we probably think are on other ends of the spectrum, where it's like, oh, you should always have desires and you should never move with fear. But in some ways, those are actually a lot closer in terms of vibrational frequency. I'm curious to see where you're going to go,
Well,
but that's
it's
my
interesting
initial.
interesting that you brought that up. Is that we should have? You said, we should have desires and we should not operate from fear, right?
That would be, I think, the
That's
external
typical.
look.
That's a
Yeah.
typical
Yeah.
response. But I'm talking about not operating from either.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying they're closer into the same boat than
Right.
they are
Because
opposite
it's the
ends.
same thing. If you move out of desire and fear, imagine how your life would be. I mean, we constantly, almost everything we do, everything we think about is usually either avoidance of something we don't like, aversion, right?
Yes.
A fear that we have, or moving towards the desire we want to have met.
Right.
When we don't do those things, what do we have?
Space.
It's
Openness.
when you meditate, right?
Yeah.
A practice of this that's easy, that kind of like is something that we can swallow and chew, is when we meditate, when we get to that point where we're not even breathing, we're in between breaths, and there is no thought present.
Mhm.
As you said, it's just space. There's no desire. There's no fear. As soon as we have that breath again, the first thought comes in. Oh, my leg is bothering me. What are we talking about? My leg is bothering me. What is that? I have a desire to move my leg.
Mhm.
I have a fear that if I don't move my leg, I'm going to be in pain.
That's right.
So right away, I'm operating from desire and fear
Yeah.
again.
And-
Even the thought alone, the first thought that comes to your head, even the thought, even if it's not a bad thought, right there, we're getting a level of drop down, a level of suffering.
Right.
Peace and equanimity
Right.
is what I'm talking about when you're not operating from desire and fear.
Right.
Are you with me?
I am right there with you. It's interesting because I think the baseline energy for a lot of people is much more fear than desire, and it could in a linear step kind of way of increasing your awareness. I think you can get to a space where your fear goes down, and almost through the mind your desires start going up. The end result is going to be the same. Why? Because as you're in fear, you're literally, that thought is creating. So you're tangibly trying to avoid something. So in a way, it's like an attachment that's creating. On the flip side of it, the desire is an attachment you're yearning, but the universe treats it the same way.
Right, right. True. Again, the next level is not operating from desire or fear. Either one.
That's right.
Being conscious of ourselves and seeing, how do we have peace? By moving out of desire and fear, because fear, as we know, it's a low vibration. It's a very low vibration. On the kinesiology scale, it's one of the lowest, right? So that's not good. We don't want to be operating from fear, right? It's not a good feeling. It's not a good vibration. You're attracting bad things as a result of it. Going to desire, when you have desire, right? In Buddhism, it's called sukha and dukkha, right? You have a desire that you want to have met, okay?
Right.
Right away, you're suffering.
Right.
Why are you suffering? You don't have that desire met.
Right.
So I want, I want a new car, right? I really want this new car, but I don't have it.
Right.
So now I'm suffering because I really want it and I don't have it. And then you get the desire met, right? You get the car, and maybe many of you can associate with this. You get the car. It's the best thing since sliced bread. A year later, it's like, it's just another car.
If that, right?
Okay.
I mean, and here's
That's why people lease cars for 3 years, right?
Right.
They lease cars because they know. It's so funny. The society is made for it. They know that after 3 years, you're going to get tired of that car.
Yeah.
Actually, sooner. And then you trade it in and get a new car.
Yeah.
Not like that car after 3 years is bad.
Not at all. I do
Right?
it for tax purposes, but yeah.
See? Right? So what I'm getting at is that you're suffering even when you haven't met. Even when you haven't met, truly.
And what's the root cause of that?
The root cause of what?
Of it not fulfilling.
Because it's not.
It's external.
It's external. It's
It's
not
external.
true. Right.
If
So
there's a hole inside of you, it's never going to get filled with something externally. If you're constantly looking at, let me add this,
right.
and then I'll feel better. No, it's you. You have to feel so whole that you literally start magnetizing things. And this is the paradox of it. I love talking about paradox. The paradoxical part of this is that as you release those attachments, like let's say, I want a Ferrari, for example, right? Since we're talking about cars. The weird thing is, and you remember in the Parallel Timelines and Realities, I really harped on this in that workshop. The paradoxical part is that as your conscious awareness goes up, you start to release the attachment and desire towards the Ferrari. You just don't even care about it anymore. Conversely, as you start to release that attachment, the probability of you getting the Ferrari starts to skyrocket.
Sure.
Why? Because you're open. Yeah.
So okay, so that covers that we understand that even when you have a desire and it's unmet, you're suffering, right? And when you receive the desire, when you make the desire finally, first of all, you have to make the desire. So if you want a case of Ferrari, look how much you're going to have to work for it.
Right.
How much of a pain in the butt it is to work for a $300,000 car. Then you're going to have to pay $30K in tax.
Yeah.
So that car you buy, you have $30K in tax you got to pay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Then you got to put gas in it. That's $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
All those kind of things come with it, right? Then there's service for it.
And then you're
all
afraid
that.
to drive it. You only want
Yeah.
to drive it 30 miles a week.
And you can't park it in the street. You got to valet it. And that's $15 to $20 now plus tip. I mean, the suffering goes on and on and on.
You
right?
know, the funny part is I think we both like cars, not for like an attachment purpose, but it's just one of those things that the crazy thing is the nicer the car you get, actually, it's almost like you have an obligation to also keep it fully detailed all the time. Because think about this. When's the last time you've seen like a
Yes.
really nice supercar that's not pristine?
Right. So, and the valet expects the highest tip if you give a regular tip. Anyway, the idea is that if you don't have it, you're suffering. And if you get it, you're still suffering because it's not fulfilling, right? So that covers the desire part. It covers the fear part. So how do we move out of desire and fear? Okay, let's talk about that. So Nisargadatta Maharaj, right, has a book, I Am That. I hope you guys aren't tired of hearing about him because I've been harping on this guy for a while. I've read the book 2 or 3 times, and it's just so good. It's just so good. So the book is I Am
read
That.
it, but the quotes you've read for me and are magnificent. It's definitely on my read list.
I would love to do a book club on it.
Yeah.
You know, I do one chapter. This last time I read it, I did one chapter a day, and the chapters take 10 minutes to read.
Yeah.
I just did one chapter a day. I would have even been open to doing a 15-minute call and doing one chapter a day or one chapter every 3 days or something, where it's just a quick 10-minute class.
Is there an audiobook for this, by the way?
I don't doubt
Do you
it.
know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, here's a quote. Leave alone, or part of the quote, leave alone your desires and fears, and give your entire attention to the subject, to he whom is behind the experience of desire and fear. Ask who desires. Let each desire bring you back to yourself. One more time. Leave alone your desires and fears, and give your entire attention to the subject, to he whom is behind the experience of desire and fear. Ask who desires. Let each desire bring you back to yourself.
Beautiful.
Isn't that so simple, right?
I'm really getting the quantum physics vibe on this, right? Who is the observer? Who is the observer?
Is Amir?
Right.
Is Amir? Is Amir's mind? Is Amir's body? Is Amir's desire?
Right. Right.
No.
It's
None of that.
right. But it gets there, right? On the default status quo level, that is what's operating all the time.
So this is a great roadmap. He's giving a great roadmap to move beyond desire and fear. It's a very challenging task, and for us to be aware, to be honest with ourselves, and to accept that we may not be ready to go to this place that Nisargadatta is talking about. I mean, this is important. Some people are not wanting this. Like if you talk to certain people I know, and we know them or you know them, who are in the matrix, who are working hard, they have a firm, they have 30 employees, this, that.
Well, let's talk about that. Why aren't they ready?
Because they haven't seen the dukkha, the suffering that comes with all of it yet.
But
they haven't got to a place of dispassion. It takes
isn't
a
it
few rides around to see the folly of it.
Isn't it? I would even push further and say, don't you think this goes back to the other part of the desire conversation, which is fear? People get very scared when they and the biggest fear, I think, outside of, if we're talking about the very physical level, the biggest fear in the world is death. In the world, right? Like people are just freaked out about death. So they come from a survivalistic level.
Materialist nihilists.
But yeah, the other part that is on the consciousness level, the biggest fear, in my opinion, is fear of the unknown. And so what happens if you're a successful CEO or whatever, however, it doesn't matter, right? But if you've done that and you have all of those things and whatever, if that goes away, what are you left with? Space and the unknown, and that freaks people out.
And many people think, if I don't push these desires and fears onto myself, I won't push myself to do well.
Right. Most people are operating from
right.
that
Think
level.
about that. If I don't push myself, if I don't fear being broke, and if I don't desire being rich, how can I go to work every day or work 50, 60 hours a week?
No one would do that.
You wouldn't want to.
Right. You wouldn't.
You wouldn't see beyond it.
What are
the richest men don't have any possessions. Look at these gurus.
100%.
They can create things from thoughts, and they have simply a rag they wear around their waist because their devotees say, please don't walk around naked. It makes us uncomfortable. And I'm not saying that we want to do that. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but I'm just saying that, like, have an honest conversation with yourself, right? We're all working at different levels here, right? And it's completely okay. This is what this universe is about. It's a school, and there's kindergarten, first grade, third grade, people getting their masters in JD, and there's people who are in pre-K, and we're all here together.
That's right.
Right. And many of the people in pre-K are writing the rules for us. And some of us are in the master's program, and we have pre-K people telling us what to eat and drink and what time to go to bed. And anyway, that's a whole nother podcast, but
no, but you know, I mean, that part of it is very difficult. And I think, you know, the movie The Matrix did the most phenomenal job of pointing this out. And what I mean by that is, for those people who are quote unquote in the Matrix, as I'm using the movie, right? He's in the high rise, and, you know, he's eating the steak and the lobster and the music, and he's rich and he's famous and whatever. And by the way, some people are addicted to suffering too, the victim mentality. So both of those on the extremes,
Sure,
they're
sure,
loving their
sure.
experience. But what happens when you step out of that? Oh, you're all of a sudden now in this place where you're kind of at ground zero. But the beauty of it is you have space around you. But that freaks people out. Just like, I forget the guy's name in the movie, right? But he's like, I'm done with this. I don't want responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
I know this is
That was the one who said, "I'm eating the. I know the steak is fake,
Right.
right? And I know it's just all made up in the Matrix and all that." And then he takes a bite and he goes, "But I enjoy it so much. Yeah.
So much. And make me rich,
Yes.
make me, I
Yeah.
don't want to be famous,
He
but I
wasn't
kind of
ready.
want to be known.
He wasn't ready, and that's the thing about the spiritual path of the aesthetic. You can't cut the corner. You can't you can't become an aesthetic, and this is a little bit different than what we're talking about moving past desire and fear. But in this example, we'll just talk about it. To go to a place of like releasing all possessions and not having any desires or fears completely, and living an aesthetic life, which is a very simple life, you can't do it early. If you do it early, that's what happens.
Right.
Because you didn't give it up. There was a spiritual teacher. I think I don't remember his name, and I don't want to say a name that if it's not the right person. But he had all of his students like got drunk for 3 days, 4 days, and the other teacher's like, I can't believe this guy's doing this. This is crazy. And he was like, look, I'm taking these desires out of them. I don't want them to look back and be like, oh man, I missed that time or whatever. There's a level of dispassion that comes with
Right.
the beatdowns, with going to the end. But so you have to see it through. Or you have to, either you see it through or you see through it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Either you see through it or you see it through.
Yeah.
So some people can see through it, right? Some people go to work, right? Their first year out of college, and they're like, oh, this is some bullish.
Right.
This is some bullish. I'm not working in the corporate ladder.
Right. Right.
I'm moving out to the country. I'm getting myself a small place. I'm going to go off the grid, and I'm going to live my life like that. They took only 1 year, and they saw through it.
I'll share. I didn't do any of those things, but I saw it through it right away. Right, like my plan was coming out of college, was and I just happened to hit a really good, job market, and every job I interviewed for, I got it, and the market was like really interesting, and everything was going, and I took this position, and the person that I was on the same level with was 55 years old, and literally like 2 months into it, I go, how, in my mind, like, how is this person doing this job? Like, this is wild to me. And right then and there, I mean, I just decided to break away from it, because I was going to go into executive corporate management. That was my goal, right? CEO, COO. We haven't even talked about this, but that's where I wanted to go, which was fully in the matrix, right? And I just realized this is insanity.
Right.
The way that this stuff is
So
structured
you
is
were able
insanity.
to see, you were able to see through it, right? But some people have to see it through.
Yeah.
Some people, like for me, I had to see it through.
Right.
I was told, if you become successful, then everything's perfect. You achieve your life. If you have money, if you have a big house, if you have a number of cars, you get invited to all the parties. You have the best wife you can imagine. Everyone's going to be knocking at your door. It's the life that you're going to want it. That's the life you're going to want. And that was like what I saw and what I strive for. And I, worked my ass off, and I got some of those things. And when I got there, I was like, oh, wait a second. This isn't what I was told.
Right.
This isn't the promised land.
Right.
So I had to see it through. Now, there's levels to it, right?
Yeah.
I could still say, at that point, I could say, well, it's because I don't have enough.
Right.
I need more.
Right.
I need a house. I need a brownstone in New York. I need a vacation home in Mallorca.
Doesn't
I
stop.
need a 1964, blah, blah, blah. And
It's
I
never
could have
gonna
did that
stop.
game.
Yeah.
And then, so there's levels of it, right? But for me, I got to the point where I saw through it at that point. I saw it through, and then I saw through the rest.
Yeah.
So
And the key thing, I really want to point this out, is once you see through it, and this is really important, once you see through it once, be in integrity, all of us, including myself, to never try to, right, with awareness, to never have to see it through again, because we don't need to
you
repeat
can't
that
unsee
pattern.
it. So you can't unsee it. See,
Right. No, but
let me give you an example, okay?
what I'm saying, I hope
Yeah, you're
it's,
saying live in integrity with it. Sure.
yeah, live in integrity, so that we because I
You don't
think
fool yourself.
the seeing
Don't
it,
fool yourself.
yeah, the seeing it through is also a belief, and we're like, we don't. I'll use an example, right? And this still resonates to the day with me. But in this community, somebody who was really religious had finally broken through, and he gave it up, right? He just gave religion up. And he sent his kid to religious school. And I was dumbfounded.
Did you ask him why he did that?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said, I'm sending him to the school so he realizes how terrible religion is. And so the reason I'm saying that is because that's that pattern in our mind for humanity is like, let them see. No, we can help each other.
Yeah,
if you've elevated to a level of consciousness, help each other. That person doesn't need to go through hell to see it through. You're never going to do it for them, right? And the only way to do that is to start holding yourself into integrity to catch yourself.
Be a living
right
example
away.
and do the best you can with others. Nothing against that guy. Everybody has their own path.
No. There's no judgment in it at all.
Right. But I understand the point completely. Okay, so let's get back to the exercise now. So what Nisargadatta says is, when a desire comes up, here are the steps. Give yourself to the subject fully and ask, whom is behind the desire? Who desires this? With those answers, it will bring you back to yourself with a capital S, your true self, which is infinite, which is not Leonard, which is not Amir, which is not who you are listening. The self does not need or have interest in desire or fears, right? He's just observing.
That's right.
He's just being.
That's right.
That's it. So when you come to that place and you have, that thought comes to your head and you're like in the shower in the morning and you're like, I'm afraid this is going to happen. And, this has been on my butt. These guys have been on my ass lately. And this could happen. This could happen. So, what am I doing here? I'm living off this fear. Does the true me, that's not Leonard, the true me who embodies the infinite creator, is he in fear?
Never.
I mean, it's not even a he, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Is it, and that will you can break that cycle right there.
Yeah.
Same thing with the desire. Does the true infinite me need this, XYZ? Does it need this?
There's no need, period.
No, exactly. It's beyond that.
See, and again, talking about, I'm going to go back to the idea of paradox. The interesting part is that as you get into that space, because this idea of conscious awareness and spirituality can also be taken to an extreme to the other end, where you sit on top of a mountain and you meditate all day and you don't eat and you don't interact and you don't talk and you don't do this. And I think that's the other extreme of it. We are here for this experience.
Sure.
When you are beyond the
push
state,
your experience away.
Yeah. When
look at the Buddha. The Buddha tried that. The Buddha tried that, and he basically was going to die because he hadn't ate anything in so long, right? And he woke up, and this woman was like, "You're going to die. I'll make you something." And he made the middle way, the middle path, the middle way, which is not too far that way, not too far this way.
Balance.
Right?
Balance and integrity with that is so important because we're here for this experience. It's when you are truly detached but totally immersed in it simultaneously.
Of this world, in this world, but not of this world.
Yeah.
Be in this world, but not of this world.
And I promise you.
That's Jesus Cristo.
I promise you that we will
meet on Sundays.
Yeah. This is Inception, by the way. That we will have a podcast about this because this also is extraordinarily, and this is not about being special or anything like that, but for the people who are here in LA is a very special energy that is in this exact vibration.
Right. And there's very special people who are working hard to also challenge that.
Right. Because you're in the middle of one of the largest metropolises in the world. There's all of these things going on.
There's even the Metropolis Club in Irvine by UCI, if you remember that. For my older Persian folks who went to Orange County to that club. Metropolis Club
but
X.
It's like it's so powerful to be here in LA and to see it because we don't
tough energy.
We don't realize it, right? Like these people, I've had these conversations with people who come from other cities and they go, "My God, you guys have so much Any day of the week, I can go to a sound bath and I can pick which sound bath I want to go to. Any day of the week, I can go to meditations. I can have these conversations. We don't realize it, but there's a really special energy. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
point of this
That's a preview for another podcast.
is balance and being in this open state.
I'm not pushing away your danda. They call it danda. It's what you have to do. It's not pushing away your you're not pushing away anything. The self doesn't push away anything.
No, because that's resistance in and of itself. That's not the
You're
point
pushing
of
away.
this.
You're probably pushing it away from fear.
Right.
So again, we're going back. Get out of desire and fear. You won't push anything away.
Right. Unless you're actively going through the experience of being, I'm not going to eat. This is like a deep conversation, but yeah, that's a cool experience, man. Like if you're truly doing it for an experiential way of like, let me just go see what happens with no attachment, that's a different level. But if you're forcing yourself not to eat or you're forcing yourself to do anything,
You don't have to force yourself.
that's the first
No,
key,
you have to force
right?
yourself.
It's not flow.
All right. So we're going to be moving beyond fear and desire. And again, to summarize it, just remember who has the fear, who has the desire. And you are not that person. You are not the person who has the fear or the desire. Okay? You're infinite. You're the awareness, the true self with a capital S. Okay? That was filling your cup. We hope your cup is full. And we're going to talk about what's brewing next. And that's current affairs, things that are happening in the world now. Do you want me to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
This is fun stuff for all those folks who have ears to listen. Okay. Let's do a quick deep breath.
That was a
deep
big
breath.
exhale.
Let's do a quick deep breath for what about to read.
I'm like,
From Natural News today, we have published on January 17th of this year, the mRNA vaccine for animals and livestock has arrived. Get ready for a transgenic meat supply laced with spike proteins.
ah,
My God.
beautiful.
Oh, when will they ever give up?
It's okay.
So, the food we eat, at least I don't eat it, but many do, and who knows when they're going to head to vegetables. But for the past 6 years, BioNTech, with the help of Bayer, Bayer, those guys who make the aspirin and whatnot,
Wonderful.
has been working on a novel first-in-class messenger mRNA vaccine and other therapeutics for animals. Even though there's no COVID going on for the animals, let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, their information is very tight-lipped on this. It's very tight-lipped. They've done some press releases, some conference notes, grants, contract notifications from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You better believe the USDA is part of this. There's some peer-reviewed papers. Dr. Malone is the one who writes some of this stuff.
Who's awesome, by the way. If you guys don't know Dr. Robert Malone, he's fantastic.
An Australian study already found that the mRNA injections are deadly to livestock with a 18% of termination after they give it.
Sounds about right.
Okay, so anyway, Malone was able to piece together some information that's available, present, and to clear outline of what's going on in the current time. In essence, everyone who consumes commercially produced meat could soon be exposed to mRNA poisons on their dinner plate. See, the problem is that the way that they've structured these guidelines, there's no label or tag or type of information that they're required to put on meat that's been vaccinated with the mRNA or COVID vaccine.
Right.
So you go to the market and you see non-GMO, it could still be vaccinated.
Right.
You go to the market and see organic, level 5, whatever, from Whole Foods, $40 a pound.
Well, but by the way, this if you guys don't know this, a lot of the stuff that's organically labeled is actually GMO. And the reason they've done that is because organics become very, everything should be organic.
Well, there's
half of it doesn't matter.
There's things that they're getting around organic by like using growing stuff in Canada, because Canada it's not called organic, it's called something else, so they can certify organic, but it's not here. So there's tricks and stuff, and you better believe they're about the dollar, so they're going to play the tricks. I mean, the best thing is to grow your own food, right? So anyway, this goes on, and Merck & Co. Is part of this, and it's really scary. Pfizer has a health division for animals known as Zoetis, Zoetis.
Oh, that
interesting name.
That name's got to mean something. I would imagine there's like a Latin.
Yeah,
We
called
should
like
look that
a
up.
Luciferian agenda or something.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
Zodus
wildlife,
probably means to kill animals.
probably. There's also a wildlife mRNA jab currently in the works for wildlife. You know, what Bill Gates is trying to do here, and he's part of all this stuff too, is he wants to
Make money.
No, it's not just make money. He's beyond making money. I mean,
Control,
the guy's a multi-billionaire,
It's
right? It's
control
not
and
about
fear.
money.
No.
He has plenty of money.
But
Think about this.
that is the control mechanism, and that's why I'm so excited that these financial systems are collapsing. But anyways,
So the news aspect here of what's happening is that they're going after the livestock with these, you know, I don't know what you want the adjective to describe these vaccines is, but they're going after the livestock because they want that to transfer to human beings. There was a study that showed that the mRNA vaccine can pass through the digestive tract.
and by the way, why are they doing this? Like, what it? I'm genuinely asking. This is not a rhetorical question, but I'm guessing
Because they want to genetically modify
no, not
the animals.
not on that level. On how it's being presented. Like, oh, we're
Yes,
doing this really good
They're
thing.
saying they want to genetically modify the animals
In what, for what purpose?
to make them better suited for us or something.
So that's one of the biggest guises, right? It's we're doing this
For you,
for
yeah.
you.
Whenever they say for your
and
protection,
safety.
yes, you already know when
Yeah.
they start saying that
Yeah.
for your protection business. You know the story is Bill Gates intends to force vaccinate all humans by first injecting farm animals with the deadly mRNA. News Target talks about this. Fast food eugenics devolving into mRNA vaccine technology where the food creates spike proteins that clog the clot and vascular systems in those who eat it. Some people in the comments and some people in other news sources are talking about the graphene oxide. Now, the graphene oxide, if you don't know, is a major part of the problem in the mRNA COVID vaccine. And if you don't know that, there's a 100-page study where this guy took the samples from the vaccines. He went under 5 different kinds of microscopes and 5 different kinds of extraction methods. He listed all of it to show what's really in there. And he found graphene oxide in them, and he showed what they do to the cells once they're injected. I mean, it's really, really scary stuff. So the idea is, on a theoretical level, okay, which I'm going to say that just as a oh man, I don't know if we're going to be able to put this on YouTube with all the stuff I'm saying.
All good.
Anyway,
It's not in the first 15 seconds, so we're clear.
the idea here in theory is potentially that they're going to put the jab in the animals, and then you eat the animals, and then that passes through to you. That's simple as that.
And
Let's not forget that 80% of the pharmaceutical industry, 80%, okay, is supported by animal agriculture.
Oh, absolutely.
80% of the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
This is not a small thing. You
Oh,
know, all those people that took the jab and everything.
The web.
Still not even more than 20%, 25% of what's keeping those companies going.
Here's
the animals.
Here's my optimistic view
Great. I
of
can't
all
wait
of
to hear
this. Energy will always be able to undo any effects on the physical level, unequivocally. So with everything, by the way, look how desperate that you have to be.
How many people can use the energy in the way you're talking about?
The
Amir,
consciousness.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. There's people who can in one lifetime transcend an octave. They can, of course, but doesn't mean because they can, we all can. But will we?
No, I mean, that's the ultimate question, right?
We're talking about the guy who is, a regular folk who has a tendency to be positive. He has 3 kids. He works a 50-hour work week. He goes to the supermarket at the end of the day to buy food to feed his family. There's no labeling requirements that show this meat has been poisoned by this mRNA vaccine that's questionable, and you guys know that. And if you don't, look at the studies that are coming out. There's no label. He just buys it to go home, and he thinks he's feeding his family good stuff. And these children, whose systems are still developing, are eating this stuff regularly 3 times a day. It's really not good news, man.
With all of that said, as the awareness goes up, these things will start. Here, I look at it as an act of desperation. They've tried to do whatever they could. It's not working. So what are they trying to do? Is just to the last levels of this. And by the way, I'm going to expand on this whole thing. There's a reason why all of these chemical spills have been happening.
Oh my God,
in
I know.
Ohio and that area.
New York. There was a huge one in New York too.
But if you look at it, that area is one of the biggest farm bases of the U.S. Right? It's huge in agriculture, and the Ohio River that runs south carries those chemicals. No,
Yeah.
these are questions that you should just be asking. Is it there is no
That's why I
coincidence
hate
in
this
my opinion
segment.
ever, but isn't it funny that there's all of a sudden multiple explosions of chemicals? And by the way, this is the craziest thing. The train derails with chemicals, and do you know what the response
They
was?
exploded.
They
They blew it up.
blew it up. Like, that's so
There's so much
crazy.
foul play. You
But
see the interviews. There's so much foul
all
play.
of that, and by the way, then I think it was today or yesterday that a like one of these more like natural farms uh
Do
it
you guys
was
see what's going on?
the,
Do you guys see what they're working at doing? You know how much land Bill Gates owns?
yeah, he's
Agricultural lands he owns?
he's the largest single landowner in the world, and he's the this was the funniest part of COVID is you talk about what do they call it when there's conflict of interest, right? There is a guy who's not a scientist, who's not a doctor, who has no background on this other than creating Microsoft, who is the biggest
Second biggest contributor to CDC or WHO?
yes, both.
Okay.
Both. And he's the single largest individual owner
Of the five of the tech
stocks.
stocks, yeah.
Okay. And he's sitting on TV and saying this is the route. Well, he's not an authority.
But why would the media give him such a spotlight?
They're all in cahoots. It's all
Yes.
together. But you have to question these things. And by the way, I don't mean this in a judgmental way, right? But you want to take health advice from people who are healthy. Bill Gates is not. You don't look at Bill Gates.
Have you seen that
physically?
Have you seen that picture of like the 10 people who are in charge of the health all around the world?
Oh, I mean, in
Have
LA.
you seen the picture of them? One of them's got like black things. What are they called? Bags under
Yeah.
their eyes that are like dark.
Well-
Another one is overweight man that's a woman dressed as a woman, transgender or trans. I don't know where they're at in the process, but
Transitioning.
right and all overweight. Many of them, I think many of them are overweight. None of them looked healthy. If anyone was like, "Do you want to have a body of any of these people?"
Right.
I would not want to have that body.
And this
ever.
is not on a judgmental level, but
No, I'm just
even,
saying they don't look healthy to me.
even
None
on
of them
the
do.
remember the LA the woman who was in charge of the LA County Health, she literally looked like a zombie. It was like, it's crazy, but you
It's so
want
strange,
to
right?
take things from people who are on that level,
I send love
right?
to
Like
everyone.
that's what it is. But
Anyway,
so look, that's
so
there.
that's the news there. So just be
I'll-
careful of what you eat. Try to eat
Be
more.
aware.
Try to eat less of those meats because it's crazy. I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to go to vegetables, but I would just assume that the vaccine can't bind to vegetables the way it can bind to animal fat.
Yeah,
you know?
probably. I just don't know
But
enough
I mean,
about it.
but look, pesticides that they spray on everything is
Yeah.
is full with bad stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just at the end of the day, it's like I'm going to try to do more of cultivating my own food.
Beautiful.
Growing my own food. It's where it has to be because outside. But see, also the problem is that the seeds are all copywritten too. Have you seen now that the farming, the seeds are copywritten?
Monsanto pretty
yeah.
much owns everything at this point.
It's,
but it's all
it's
look,
wild, man.
what's the response?
The
to
rabbit
this?
hole? That's like a 16 level podcast.
Yeah, but what's the response to this? You would have never done this had they not gone to those extremes. That's the beauty of how
Yeah, of
consciousness works.
Same thing with
As
COVID.
something
I'm talking
pushes,
to a
you
woman
get
tonight
more balance.
who was like, people are getting their 6th booster, and I can't believe it. And she's like, she was like, I went along for the first or second one, but on number 3, 4, 5, 6, like, are we still buying into this? She told me that. I was like, oh, okay.
I've said this to you, and I brought this up to 2 or 3 of my friends. And the question always to me at that time, as it was happening, is when will you stop? And people always said, well, what do you mean by that? And at the time, there was no talk about boosters, but I knew that was coming. So I literally told my friends, I said, if they told you to take a second shot, would you? And they said, yeah. I said, would you take the 3rd one? And they said, what do you mean? I said, would you take the 4th one, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th? And they're like, well, what are you saying this for? I said, would you stop at some point? They said, yeah, I would definitely stop. So this is a big question that you should ask, right? Because you're stopping arbitrarily. The big question, and this is on every level, why'd you take the first one then?
If you're willing to stop on the 3rd.
Right? Because that's completely arbitrary. So, and a lot of those people thanked me because they're like, I never thought about it that way. I said, it's not about anything of just in the moment, go into it and see what could be next. And at some point you're going to stop. So the point is, why start something that you don't believe in anyways?
Yeah.
But I'll
Anyway,
are you
that was what's brewing on my side. That's
here's
I knew you had something.
on my side. It's really interesting, right? Like what's going on with Twitter. Obviously, Elon Musk bought it, and
X. Are you talking about X?
What?
What he's going to turn into? He wants to close
No,
it down
no.
with X?
It's something really interesting that's gone on now. You know, and kudos to him. He's not perfect. You know, it's not about perfection, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater on any of these things. He's done a lot of questionable things. But it's just funny to me that he was like the godsend for a lot of people 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's like, oh my God, he's saving the earth and electric cars and he's fighting the system. And those same people have in the same last 5 or 6 years have actually literally turned to supporting the system. It's just such a funny thing. And look,
there was a what's in on Instagram. So I think it was High Snobiety or was it Cosmo? I'm not sure of the source, but they showed a what's in and what's out now, right? And one of them said what's out. It said Elon Musk and Twitter.
yeah,
It said what's out. I'm
well,
like, that's out. It's a thing to be out. It's not a shirt.
right.
I don't care. I'm not either this way or that way.
That
I'm just saying it's so funny that they would put that agenda in there.
Oh, totally.
They listed like, let's just say like in baggy jeans,
Right.
you know, varsity sweatshirts and jackets out. Twitter and Elon Musk. It's like,
right.
okay.
And I would always say this, even back 5 or 6 years ago, because, you know, you hear about every Tesla that gets into an accident. I don't have a Tesla, by the way. I don't know if I'll get one ever, but you hear about like all of a sudden it's on the news, like, oh, a Tesla got into an accident today. I was like, do you know how many Toyotas and Hondas and Mercedes and BMWs get into accident every day?
You watch the news?
No, but you get what I'm saying, right? I mean, you get what I'm saying. And it was just such a weird
There's
thing.
an agenda. This is all propaganda. It's all propaganda.
Yeah. So what's happened now is he's done a few things that are really, really cool. And they're leaving Twitter, right? And they think they're like, it's just such a naively, like, I'm sorry, this is judgmental, but it's so childishly stupid that they're doing this. So he went in and he literally tagged PBS, NPR, and a few other ones as state-funded media, which they are. They're public, so who's funding them? State. Huge outrage. Oh my God. How are you saying this is state-run media? This is like, it's not, I'm like, well, it's literally the definition of state-funded media. Like each individually, those three words would lead to be what that is. So what's happened? PBS and NPR have left Twitter. And I'm like, great. Like, it's like they think they're doing something noble. And it's just so funny to me. It was the same thing when all of this stuff with Russia and Ukraine happened, all of these corporations started pulling out of Russia, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like McDonald's left and Coca-Cola left and like, you know, this drug company left and they left. And I was like, you're actually helping these people.
Drug companies leaving and McDonald's leaving. Can we have that
And
same
Coca-
effect here?
but
How do we get that effect here?
Isn't that funny?
What do we got to do to get the drug companies to leave America?
It's so
and
naive.
stop poisoning the food we eat? What do we got to do?
But it's such a beautiful, it's so naturally beautiful, in my opinion, of what's going on in the world.
I think independent fact checkers checked a number of things that we said tonight, and they said they're not true.
Yeah, well, that's
independent
okay.
fact checkers.
Snopes?
Independent fact checkers.
Yes,
I want
yes.
to know, how are they independent? Who pays them?
Yeah.
They're independent.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're paid.
Well,
Not independently.
another thing that Elon has
That's
done
my favorite.
is he's put in like more legitimate. Who knows? I'm not saying everything is accurate, but he's put in more legitimate fact checkers, which are not.
Oh, we're going on fact checkers now?
But it's awesome because there's stuff that Biden has said, the White House has said, the FBI
And he puts it on those?
He puts.
That's good.
This has been fact checked, and actually, this is inaccurate.
Oh
and
my God. No, they
specifically
never
from-
admit it. They never admit.
Specifically from the White House and Biden, they keep deleting their own tweets.
Wow.
Because
they don't want to be marked that way.
Yeah, and this is
That is
awesome, right? So why is there so much pushback? The whole reason I brought this up is why is there so much pushback on Twitter all of a sudden is because there's now a legitimate amount
a
of free
professional
speech.
organization that has some level of knowability, if that's a word, really, visibility and knowability, is saying, hey, these media sources that everyone trusts that never admit they're wrong,
Right.
actually that's not right, and there's no one doing that.
No.
There's no
And
one doing that.
and now it's at least balanced on some levels, right? Like
Well, it's not balanced, but there's somebody doing something, saying
right,
something.
but it's so awesome
Now,
to me.
I'm not saying he doesn't have his own agenda in
Sure
it too.
he
He probably
does.
does.
Sure he does.
But just the fact alone that someone would come in and say, you know what, this guy, that works for the government that said this thing, that was wrong. When we all have known that for a long time,
right.
and saw it unfold, but yet no one took responsibility. There was no press conference where Prez came in and was like, I did say, no one's ever going to get sick if they take the shot, and that was a mistake. I'm sorry. He never came through and said that.
Yeah.
They never said, I made some mistakes. Here's a mistake I made. They don't do it.
It was supposed to be a cold, dark, deadly winter for us.
Yes, they said that we would
Are
die.
you really here? Or are you a ghost?
No, they said that for those who are, we don't have to go into it, but there's so much proof. There's video and video and video.
Here's again the reason I brought this up in this segment is because it's so awesome to see what's going on.
To see what's brewing.
Yes, and the man, I'm telling you, the coffee that's brewing right now.
It's a heavy coffee. It's like one of those like it smells good.
It smells great.
See, I love my optimistic pal here, right? Amir's so optimistic.
Great. It's great. Look, it's the most childish move to run away from something that you cannot stand up to. And by the way,
say that again.
It's the most childish thing to run away from something that you disapprove of. You have to go in and face what it is. But look, I'm by the way, I like NPR and I like PBS. I think they have some very legitimately like solid.
I mean, when I like the
shows.
When I was a kid, I watched PBS for the Peter the Wolf classical music.
Yeah,
that was real nice.
But it's just you. It's become so blatantly obvious.
Yeah, NPR. My friend watches and tells me all the time how they're doubling down. They actually say stuff like, if you hear that this is bad, it's actually misinformation.
Right.
They've
shifted. And this is why I'm so excited, is because they're trying to suppress so hard that it's just so apparent.
Obvious.
It's so obvious.
But you know what's crazy is that for some people, it's still not obvious.
That's okay.
I know. I'm just saying. It's just
good.
like there's some people who just still don't see it.
And
they still don't see it. And it's like we're hitting you over the head as loud as it can be, and you still don't see it. It's
why?
wild.
What do we start with? Fear.
Yeah.
Their fear. And please, this is a really important thing for all of us to always remember. Be in a total space of empathy, because they could be on the verge of giving up those illusions. And the best
we don't want them to double down with the ego situation.
Yeah, the best way.
Welcome them with open arms.
Yeah, be open, be loving, and just say, look, the love is always there. It's whenever you decide to step into it. If we try to make them wrong, or we try to come from whatever place, and it's really important that we always remind ourselves love is the base frequency that everything is attracted to. Everything. Fear ultimately is trying to attract love at its most I know that sounds absolutely crazy,
speaking,
but
sure.
that's what it is. Anyways, that's what's brewing, and it smells great.
It smells great. So now we're going to spill the beans, okay? And we spill the beans is we're going to talk about a spiritual task that we presented last time, and a reflection on it, and also a new exercise for us moving forward for this week. And we really ask honestly and lovingly if you would join us in this and be honest with yourselves and us. You can use the comments to talk about it, or if this gets sent to the group chat, you can just put it in the group chat. Did you do it? What happened? Did you run into a situation? Let's take a look at last week's exercise, and we talked about when anything doesn't go your preferred way, before fighting it, denying it, cussing it, or trying to fix it, take 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, Amir, do you want to start with your experience?
Yeah, I will. I'll share a couple with you.
All right, let's do it.
One of them that I've been actively actually doing. So in my line of work, I'm driving a lot, right?
Yes, Amazon driving. You're Amazon delivery guy now?
Yes.
Yes.
I actually delayed our own package for the
I
thing.
told you someone took it. It was
I'm,
him.
I'm trying to work on my forearms and biceps by holding this mic for an hour and change.
I'm
No,
just kidding.
but so there's a lot of driving, and this has been going through, but I did practice it. That I'm way more like, I've always been a person who's on time. But in several, the years that have gone by, I've also just started being early for things. And sometimes it's like, no matter what you do, it's like you're going to be late. And a few times,
you're not on Met. You don't follow the Met time. Met,
I don't know what that is.
Middle Eastern time.
Oh,
Half hour to hour late for everything.
I thought you were going to say PSD, Persian Standard Time.
Okay, here you go.
Yeah. So
So now you've
definitely
been
a
going
few
early.
times this week, that happened.
You went early.
And no, I was running late.
Oh,
Like
okay.
regardless, I would hit like an accident that was like bonkers and I'm leaving so that I'm there early. And it happened several times, and every time I would just come back to breath, and I was like, I know from a non-attached, non-egotistical level, I know there's a reason I'm late. And every time I would get there and I was still the first person there.
Nice.
And so it's this bringing presence to the moment, and then trusting life of like, there's a reason I've hit every red light, because on the backside of it, I know if I got there at that point and somebody would be 15 minutes late, it would probably bother me more. So what's
Right.
life doing? It's getting me
Yeah.
there 2 minutes before they do,
Sure.
quelling
Sure.
my,
It's really micro way of looking at things. Sure.
yeah. And then you look at it and you say, well, that's great. The other thing I'll share with you is, and I don't know if this falls exactly into it, but for me it was, I had a bad experience with food a couple weeks ago, and this week
Oh, I
it was
remember, yes.
it was Mexican food again, because
Again?
I eat really, this, I eat really clean, and I like cook, and like I just do all that. And I ate, and my stomach was just killing me. And I was like, God, this is just awful. I can't believe like this is happening. Like, I can't eat out anymore. This sucks, Came back to my breath, and I was like, no, this is an amazing gift. Amazing. Why? Because my body is so telling me, dude, this is not for you. And I was like, getting chills just saying it now, because, and it just is that breath. Those, 3 or 10 or 1, doesn't matter. But it's such a powerful exercise to do, of just giving yourself space. And if it's not going the way that you wanted, because the mind is saying that, right? Like the mind's like, damn it, I love eating out, and I want to sometimes but I'm like, how awesome is it that my body is literally telling me like, it's not on the path that you're, it's just great. So breath really helps with that. Those are my two
So
two
Amir was
experiences.
perfect, guys.
No.
He
No, I
did
was
it
sharing
all. He did it great. A+.
Can I get the star?
I mean,
And a cookie.
you got a lollipop waiting for you at the door.
How'd it
I,
go
on the
for
other
you?
hand, had a lot of challenges. Oh man, it's been a long week. I did some breaths. I didn't do some breaths. It helped. I should have did it more. I did it a number of times. I had so many challenges that I even did it like probably 5 times, and I should have did it 10. And it helped. Yeah, it helped. I had a situation this morning where someone needed a piece of a certain document to have by a meeting, and I ordered the document, and they didn't tell me exactly when it was supposed to come, when they're supposed to have it. And I gave them the delivery date. I paid extra to have it delivered, and it said, okay, it will come between Tuesday and Friday.
That's what you get for not using me as a delivery. No, I'm just kidding.
So it arrived today, and at 10 a.m. and I messaged the person. I said, it's 10 a.m. It's at your door, and they replied, too late. And I said, too late? Too late for what? And they're like, oh, I had to have it this morning by 8 a.m. And I've sent like 5-6 messages. Like, what are you talking about? You never said that. And I told you 3 times when it was going to come. I sent you a tracking number. Why didn't you just tell me you needed it before? Then I would have found another copy and hand delivered it to you. I went on and on and on. And I was like, I had another message in the can that I wrote that was like, I was going to tell this person how it is. And I just took some deep breaths.
There you go. That's exactly
and I was like, you know what? I'm
the
just going to
moment.
wait a little. I'm just going to wait a little. Now, I could have took those deep breaths in the beginning.
It's all good.
And I should have.
Don't even think about that.
But
Don't
I
even
took some
think
deep
about
breaths. I relaxed and I didn't send it.
Yeah.
And they called me and they're like, oh, it's okay. I figured it out and I had it anyway. I had my own copy. And everything's taken care of and it went well.
There you go.
And I'm like, well, why don't you lead with that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you lead with that instead of too late?
But
The exercise was there for me.
But here's the powerful part of that for me is that the universe is waiting for you to let go and then it'll let go.
I know.
Because you are the universe,
Yes.
right? So as you're projecting this attachment to the universe is like, I'll show you attachment. And then you let go and it's like, oh, great, here you go.
Yeah.
Isn't that, it's
Yeah.
so beautiful the way
So
the
beautiful.
universe
The way you
works.
said it was really great too, Amir.
Yeah, no.
Mashallah,
it's-
Bain Amir. Mashallah, mashallah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
man. I
So
love that.
I'm hoping that I can continue this practice. It's not just that last week.
No,
It's a practice that we carry with us.
breath is on so many levels, symbolically and literally and physically and tangibly. It's just so powerful. And it's the beauty of it is it's such a little thing and you're right back into it. Right? Just that. It's even sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, but like naturally if the sun is out or you're driving and you're a little bit frowny, and I'll just take a deep breath and I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
why am I in?
Face? Why is my
Why
face
am
like
I?
this?
And then I just start smiling, and
Yeah.
everything just feels brighter.
Yeah.
Like, right? I don't like the saying "fake it till you make it," but with smiling, great exercise.
Well, I heard that if you smile, it brings up your face value.
I like that. All right. Well,
That
what's on the
that joke wasn't great. Okay.
What's on the docket this week?
So our exercise today, as you probably guessed, is to monitor your thoughts and see if they're coming from fear or desire. Yes. So apropos, check your thoughts. We'll check our thoughts. If a thought comes up and it starts to ruffle our feathers or whatever it may be, it may not even ruffle your feathers. Just wash yourself. I think the shower is a good place for this exercise.
Best.
Because I think a lot of times when we go to the shower, I don't know about everybody else, but it feels like we're never present really in there. We're always, what's the plan after this? You're in the shower. You're like, what do I got to do after this? What do I want to make sure I get done today? You got to go through like this like list of stuff you got to do.
And yet, weirdly, I think if you're in there long enough, you do get to that space. Showers are really. We'll talk about this
because
on
it's
one
water
of the
and you're
podcasts.
cleansing your aura and stuff. But anyway, let's take a look at ourselves. Let's take a look at our thoughts. Let's be the awareness. Let's monitor our thoughts and see if they're coming from desire and fear, especially when you get worked up.
Do we want?
Like this morning with that document thing,
Mhm.
it was like I went through these things where it was like I actually went through these thought processes, okay? Where it was like, what do I desire here? Why do I desire this? This person was supposed to bring the document. That would have helped me to have this, and this wouldn't have happened, which was the fear I had,
Right.
right? That it didn't go the way I wanted because
Right.
they didn't have the documents, and there was the fear. And I said all this stuff happening, and then I said, you know what? Who cares if it happens?
Boom.
I said, who cares? If it did go exactly as I didn't want it to go, okay, I'm alive still. And who I really am is not affected.
Yeah.
Leonard is affected. Okay, even that's not that big of a deal. But who I truly am is not affected.
No.
And I had that thought process. So it's like that practice, but maybe earlier. Right, it happens right away.
Can I get a little bit of? I want to maybe just question this and get a little more clarity. Do we also want to, on a deeper level, as like a part B to it? Do we also want to see what is desiring that? Like, what part of you is actually desiring that?
Well,
Fear.
I mean, to right away, you would say your personhood.
No, but
your
I'm
ego,
saying
the Leonard or Amir would be.
I don't mean that I don't mean that on a surface level. I'm saying like deep in your consciousness,
psychologically.
in your thought, what is sparking that? Like, what is
Okay, so give
actually
us an
the
example.
causation?
Give us an example.
Um,
You want to do something simple, like I want to eat a snack right now.
no, let's go to this morning. Like, let's just use your example, right?
Trying to get an example out of him. He wants to put it on me.
The fear of something not going the way that you want it to. Great. What's causing the initial fear? Is it expectation? Is it ego? Is it look? Is it looking good? You get what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be a cool part of the exercise too. This is, by the way, that's supplemental, but I think that could also go. But let's stick to this.
I mean,
And
Amir
let's
wants
see.
you to take out a journal, okay? And when your thing comes up, he wants to take a half hour break at work, go to a nice like lake or river or pond nearby, take a drive over there, and then contemplate and write down.
This is, we call for this projection, by the way. This is what Leonard wants to know. But I do think that you.
No, but I think it's good to go deep. Sure.
I think you can, if you want to, as a
Optional
supplemental-
exercise.
Yeah,
Optional.
Supplemental.
This is for extra credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The basic.
You'll
exercise,
get the gold star.
The basic exercise is just look in your mind and see if you're coming from desire and fear.
Perfect.
One step up is after that, realize who is has the desire or the fear,
Right.
and put your
Right.
attention on the observer,
Right.
who is the infinite, who is not you, who is you, but who's not you as in personhood.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting kind of wordy, but you get the idea. And then the third exercise is to go to the origination of that thought and see what it stems from. Okay?
Exactly.
Now we're talking some real good stuff.
Yeah,
And on that note, thank you for listening to Conscious Cup.
Yeah.
We are grateful for you. We're pleased with you. We've had our coffee or tea. I hope you have it as well. We filled our cup. We did the grind. We saw what's brewing. We spilled the beans. We have an exercise for you to do. Smash the like button. Hit the subscribe. Send it to your friends. Pay $20 towards our advertising of this podcast. Just kidding. Everything except the last part. Keep the $20. But definitely comment, subscribe. Commenting, liking, and subscribing helps build momentum for us.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it greatly. And we appreciate you. We appreciate that you are here listening with us because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us today.
Yeah. Much
So thank you.
gratitude. Gratitude to you. Gratitude for everybody
you,
who's
Amir.
here and participating. And I'll end with a little bit of a paradox too.
Okay,
but
but
the
I'm going to end with a
beauty
prayer,
is-
so I'm just after
no,
you
no,
do that.
absolutely. The beauty is of filling your cup, and I'm literally going to use this, right? Is that the cup is now empty. So it's this paradoxical state of as you're filling
I
yourself
love it.
with more and more light, you're actually creating more and more space. And so
You're becoming
is-
no thing.
yeah, we are starting at the beginning of our podcast with a full cup, and as we're going through this, we're filling the cup, but really we're emptying the cup into space,
Shedding
and
the
awareness.
layers of who we think
Yeah.
we are so that we could be truly who we are,
Yes, and
which
that's
is
the
infinite.
that's the balance of this thing, right? Because if your cup is always quote unquote full, there's
To have
nothing to grow.
everything, you need to be nothing.
Absolutely, it's everything that is in paradox is leading you to the truth, because the truth can hold all.
And with those wise words, we're going to say, may all be well. May all be happy. May all have inner peace. May all open their heart chakra and receive the love and the light of the Creator. May all abide in peace, and may all avoid the causes of suffering. Om Tat Sat. Thank you for listening. We wish you a blessed day.
Much love.